Good morning, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. I'm Ron Strobel, the Sergeant at Arms. Our invocation this morning is by Bill Wooldridge. And Lord help him for the Shirley War.
I get an awful lot of abuse in this place.
Well, that's life of being a politician, Bill.
I'm going to talk to Dan about this. Well, good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning, Bill.
Dear Heavenly Father, you have told us to love one another as you have loved us. Help us to show our love by serving others in our community. Help us to feed the hungry and clothe those in need. Soften our hearts that we may serve the poor. Now we thank you for this food we have served today. Amen.
Amen. Says the man in pink. To lead us in the pledge and the four-way test, Gail Royster.
The woman in pink. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First,
is this the truth?
second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will goodwill and better friendships
and fourth.
will be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you, Gail. And to lead us in song, Dick Pearsall.
This morning I thought I'd give you a little challenge. We're going to sing June is Busting Out All Over from the Carousel. Now, it's got a lot of tongue twisters in there. I've hardly been able to memorize it, quite frankly. But there it is. We're not going to sing it up-tempo. We're just going to sing it sort of soft. And so here we go. June is busting out all over the meadow and the hill. And the Roslyn River passes out and the wheel goes that one line right to the count. Okay. June is busting out all over. The feel is getting so intense that the young Virginia creeper had been hugging all the jeepers on the morning glory all along the fence. I heard it. That's on June. June, 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 just because it's June, June, June. So much for the New Yorker magazine.
Thank you, Dick. And now our president, Joe Avella.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Dick. That was a first and hopefully probably the last, I think. First and last, yes. So good morning, Rotarian, and welcome guests. There are a number of guests, and we'd like to introduce them, and I will ask Chris Barker, our esteemed secretary, to introduce our guests.
Good morning, Rotarians and guests. Well, Rotarians, you passed the first test. Apparently, our badge box was literally spilled all over the floor. That's why people couldn't find their badges this morning. We thought perhaps our Feinmeister was playing a trick on us. Okay. Well, first, I would like to introduce guests. This is their third visit, so hopefully they're on their way to becoming members. If they could please stand so we could acknowledge them. We have Dan Filburn, guest of Mike Swain. And then we have Doug McDowell, guest of Peter Goheen. And then we have Pete Oberman, guest of Rich Warfield. And then Joe Avila does have a few guests he would like to please call up so he can introduce them. Mary Helen Wright and Scott Kravitz.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'd like to introduce my guests, Mary Helen Wright and Scott Kravitz. I know Mary Helen is a local resident, right? And not too far away. And Silver Lake.
Yes.
Okay. And Mary Helen is here representing Senior Premier Concierge Company. So you want to say a few words about that company?
Sure.
1 minute, Sir Scott?
So it looks like I
Oh, you have to use this.
youngest. No?
Could be.
Well, I've got close in age here at our table. Thank you for having us this morning. We're Senior Premier Concierge. Think of us as a hired family member, kind of the rent-a-son, rent-a-daughter concept. So I'll leave it at that, but thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Thank you. Thank you. So, okay, James, Relay for Life is coming up. And but first, I want to thank those people that worked at Camp Manitowoc last week. I know it was Jay and Mike Swain and Lynn Zup, and of course Rich Warfield, and of course Ed Sogan. I was out of town, or otherwise I would certainly be there. So, James.
Again, thank you for everyone who signed up. So I did send that out. So if there's some reason why you can't make it or need to change the times, absolutely give me a call. Also, you can just show up and come by. What we'll have is a tent, the table and chairs. I'll have quite a few chairs so you can sit around. Hopefully the Rotary tent. I have it in my garage, but I haven't opened it yet. So hopefully it's openable. So that'll be, the opening ceremonies are really neat. It starts at 10 a.m., a couple speeches, and then a survivors walk. And we'll have the singing of the national anthem by Nicole Lehman, who, if you've ever heard her sing, she has absolutely magnificent voice. So that'll be a really neat opening. Activities all day. And then you definitely want to be there by 9 p.m. That's when the luminarious ceremony is. Dan can testify that it's a very moving ceremony. We line the track with the bags that honor or memorialize those who have passed away and those who have survived. And then there's a moment of silence, and then we'll have a couple speeches, and then after the ceremony, we have a fireworks show by American Fireworks, and it is not just a little show. It is a huge. It's probably rivals any 4th of July or any other show. So that'll be really neat. So that's all day long. Stop by. It's at Lavelli Field. It's right behind the grade schools, so it's easy to find. And contact me later. Also, just repeat, we have Rotary is auctioning off this huge basket of wine. It's got like 20 bottles. So the tickets are $1 each or $15 for 10. You just write your name and phone on the ticket, and then you don't have to be there for the drawing. Thank you.
Okay, James, thank you. So this Saturday, don't forget Relay for Life. Today is second Wednesday. It's Fine Day. So our Fine Meister, Ed Sogan.
Today's helpers, we have Rich is going to collect fines over here on our right side, and on the left, Chris, you'll handle those duties. If we could have the, get your dollars out, those people with no pins and no badges. Evan, I don't see a badge here big time. Please get your dollars out, and our crew will be around happily collecting them. Raise your hand if you don't have those out there. While they're doing that, just a quick sports update. If you haven't heard, Gavin Gaynor, a senior for Hudson High School, ended up winning the 1600 at the state meet for the second year in a row. He ran a mere 409.24, which obviously set the school record at the same time, and he's headed off to Princeton for an academic and running career there. So outstanding example of our athletes. Lacrosse, both boys and girls had an outstanding season. So the girls and girls softball and boys baseball. So it was a great fall. Spring. That's what I said. $1. I already gave Rich 20. So any mistakes I made, he's just picking that up. Breaking news from the inner city. Most of you know that Gail moved in to what she calls the hood. It's I don't know how you say it. It's the projects of Hudson. It's the villas, and she is trying to turn that community around. She's a force of nature. Most of you realize that, and whatever she puts her mind to, she does it 100%. She took over the leadership of the Hudson chapter of the Hells Angels, and has proceeded to make a couple of minor changes. So let me get out of this. Okay, the name of the club now officially is Gail's Awesome Pink Panther Cycle Club. Like I said, she's made several changes. One of the biggest one is we used to have a biker bar in Akron, and now we go to the smoothie place on 1st and Main. Instead of Boilermakers, for our favorite drink, we are drinking herbal tea. Our tattoos have to be pink hearts, rainbows, flamingos, or unicorns. She runs a very tight ship. She even made Joe Boisel take off his training wheels off his motorcycle. So far, it's just Joe and I with a motorcycle. We have 3 people with mopeds. We have an electric bicycle. And Gail has her red sports car, which really doesn't count, but we're afraid to tell her. So Gail, if you could fess up for $2 there, and as she makes other changes, I'll keep you posted. We have the Memorial Day. Oh, I wanted to pass this around too. I had fined Rich the last time about not being in the paper for his advertising and being the Easter Bunny for the Kiwanians. I did find that, so if you could pass it around. That's the picture of Rich from one of our hubs in the past. The Memorial Day Parade, we had David Basil. If you guys could stand up, and we'll give you a little round of applause. As the mayor, we had Bill Woldridge in the parade, Dan Williams, Chris Barker. I don't think Catherine is here. Chris is already standing. Ron Strobel in his pickup truck. And Joe Boisel, I don't think he's here. But let's give these people a nice round of applause for representing the city and our Rotary Club. And it'll be $1 because none of you had pins on.
I did.
The other thing that kind of happened that was a little bit nasty is Catherine and Chris were walking in front with the banner in front of Ron's car or truck, his pickup truck, and he was laying on the horn telling him to walk faster throughout the whole parade.
Up this year and is our season sponsor. So that's helping us to really achieve all the new programming and exhibits and maintain the gardens and the grounds and do all the things that we need to do for a 101-year-old historic estate. So again, turning our attention to the family, this is F.A. and Gertrude at the top, and they had 7 children, 6 of whom lived to adulthood. Grace Winona, which is the second one from the right, died in infancy, or before she was 2, excuse me. And then, so that's kind of the family tree, and we're very blessed that some members of the family are still here in Akron and still participating from time to time in our tours and in our special programming, in our education programs and so forth. The key to the theme this season, of course, family sharing our stories, is that we have been able to uncover a lot of new information over the last year or so that we didn't even know. And so it's really telling kind of the relationships between the family members and how they enjoyed the estate. And so we've actually woven all of those stories through our exhibits and our events and our activities. You'll love this. Let's play it. Please play. Uh-oh. Maybe we'll play on this one. Oh, this is going to be such a disappointment. What I'm trying to show you is a video clip of 2 of the Cyberling granddaughters who are still with us, Julia Shaw and Ann Davis. And it was just, oh no. We didn't test it that far. It worked in my office, but it's not working here, so. All right, so anyway, it's just kind of fun to hear their stories about growing up at Stan Hewitt. They always considered it the big house. Oh, you're trying to get it for me? Oh, thank you. And we were actually working on a documentary a few years ago, and so they were seated side by side. They're well into their 80s now, and we're just sharing how they viewed Stan Hewitt as, it was like a playground for them. And to them, it was just, Granny Cy's home and Grandpa Cyberling's home. So it's a very quick clip, but it's really precious. So I'm hoping we'll get a chance to see it. It's frozen. Okay, all right. Well, I'm sorry you'll miss that, but we'll keep going here. So, all right, and so what we're doing in the Manor House itself is the exhibit is titled Our Family. So you'll actually get to see lots and lots of historic photographs, some of their letters, some of their memorabilia, and it's really fascinating. It has created quite the stir from all of our guests. And of course, this is a photograph of the core family, and F.A., young F.A., is sitting on of the senior F.A.'s lap. One of the things that we've also been discovering over the last year or so are all these wonderful historic quotes that our curators actually pushing out to our volunteers and our staff. But this one is particularly apropos. From F.A. to his daughter Irene in 1944, he says, "I look forward to a new age when the mechanics of living will be so accelerated and simplified that we won't need to depend on help." They actually had 22 to 24 servants in the home for the whole time that they were living there, to show how things used to be in the old days. Eventually, it ought to be preserved as a public museum, art foundation, or some such public asset for the advantage of the public. So we think F.A. and Gertrude would be very pleased to know that we have continued that tradition, and it certainly is a museum, and that it's doing as well as it is this season. So in the family, in the Manor House, again, the exhibit is really showing 3 generations of cyberlings, and we're doing that in a new way. You'll see the Walk the Hall guides in the lower left, and those we just introduced this season. We have actually created 5 of them, so they represent the voices and the perspectives of 8 different family members. So when you come for a tour of Stan Hewitt, you can take one of those guides, and as you're walking through the Manor House, you'll have an opportunity to kind of see how that particular family member, or several, depending on which one you select, how they visualized, or experienced a particular room, or how they played down the hall. We have stories where some of the children would actually ride their bikes down the main hallway, and they used to play behind the organ pipes in the music room, and the entire estate. It's 70 acres and 65 rooms in the Manor House. So imagine that being your playground when you're growing up. So those are some of the stories that they're going to be sharing with us. And then you see the little share a story button and the story cards. Every season we actually create a set of story cards that we encourage you to collect. And so we, as staff members and volunteers, are inviting you through our buttons to stop us if we don't stop you and ask us to share a story with you. And again, that's another way that we're able to actually communicate all the different stories that we have to share. And then once we've completed that story, we offer you the card, and then hopefully you'll come back and collect more. You can also collect those cards by taking a geocache or a quest. Does everybody here know what those are? It's kind of treasure hunts. One's a high-tech version, one's a low-tech version. So we also have those available at the estate, which we're very excited about. And we change the story cards every year to match the theme, and they're always placed in the geocache and questing boxes as well. And then the little centerpiece, which talks about Joe's adventure. Several years ago, we realized it was really important for us to become more family friendly. If you've been to Stan Hewitt, and I didn't ask that question, how many of you have recently, like in the last year? All right, wonderful. Because it is such a large house, 65,000 square feet, and it's a little dark. It's a Tudor Revival style. Children aren't exactly excited to go into that house most of the time. And also because it's a museum, and children always want to touch everything, and clearly we don't want that to happen. The reason it's survived to 101 years is because we've been very protective of the estate. So we created Joe's Adventure. So they're little clues that we create around the house, and they use that little pamphlet to kind of point them out. And once they've filled up their little pamphlet, they can go to our Molly's gift store and collect a prize, collect a gift. We also have touch-it stations throughout the house. And those are an open invitation. If you want to touch something, touch this. So we have candlestick phones, and if you come, and they're stationed periodically throughout the house. So if you pick that up, you can hear the voice of one of a number of different cyberling family members telling their story. So it's just kind of an interesting, interactive way to experience the estate as well. And on the gardens and grounds, in the gardens and on the grounds, we actually expanded an exhibit that we began last year to celebrate our 100th anniversary. We have so many stunning vistas on the estate. In fact, the land was really selected for the vistas, obviously. So we created Picturing the Past. So we have these mammoth photographs that are positioned at the same location where the original ones, positioned where they are today, where the original photo was taken 100 years ago. And so now we have 21 of them, and it really is a fascinating way to kind of get some perspective on the estate and kind of understand what things looked like that long ago. In fact, before I tell you, who knows what Stan Hewitt means? Stone quarry. Yay, we've got some fans in the room. That's awesome. Thank you. So it's Old English for stone quarry. And so, among the vistas that you'll be able to see, of course, is the vista over the quarry and out to the Cuyahoga Valley, and really get an appreciation for what the cyberlings saw when they actually selected the land for Stan Hewitt. So, and they're throughout the entire estate. So it kind of draws you around, even behind the Manor House and down below the Japanese garden and around into the dell. So you really have an opportunity to see Stan Hewitt from a very different perspective. And then the Corbin Conservatory, it's all about family. So we've selected 3 families of plants. One's the citrus plants that are represented by the myrtle leaf there. Some are carrion plants, and then carnivorous plants, which are pretty stunning, actually. So it's a really fun opportunity because these plants, some of them look stunning, and they smell not so great. and that we think the kids will especially love that, and they are enjoying that. So, in fact, our manager in the Corbin Conservatory went so far as to hang some fake dead meat and things like that to kind of give you the understanding of really how some of these gorgeous plants can actually smell not so nice and what that represents. And our butterflies are returning. In fact, on June the 23rd, which we're very excited about, we've had our butterfly habitat for about 5 seasons now, and it's sponsored by the James Smucker Company. And the reason this picture is here is because last season, if you visited, we had a garden glass exhibit, oversized florals that were actually planted in the gardens. And this one was bought back for us this season and donated to the estate, which we're very excited about. So it's a permanent installation at the butterfly habitat. So you have a chance to kind of see all the variations of the domestic butterflies before you go into the habitat and kind of play with them and so forth. So it's a really cool exhibit that everyone seems to thoroughly enjoy. And we have a very strong partnership with the Cuyahoga Valley National Park and the Metro Parks, and a lot of them send their volunteers to be in the habitat to provide some informal education. So it's a favorite destination on the estate. And then we've been all about family the last few years. How many have been at or near Play Garden? Perhaps if you have little ones in your family. If you haven't, I highly encourage you to come and bring every little one you know. It's a 5,000 square foot play garden is exactly what it says, and it has 6 different interactive experiences in it. And one of the things that we do at Stan Hewitt that we're very meticulous about is that we don't create any exhibit or any program that doesn't tie directly back to the stories of the estate or to the Cyberling family. So these 6 interactive exhibits all have a connection to the estate. On the far left you see our playhouse. It's 20 feet tall, and it's constructed just like the carriage house with the same methods and so forth, masonry methods, and it has in it a marble chase. Again, going back to the stone quarry and the origination of marbles here in Akron. It has a drawbridge, it has a slide. So there are a couple of things that make it a little more fun for the kids, but it's really a space that they can climb in, up, around, and just really have a great time with. Also, there is a splash fountain, and in the center of it is a sundial representing the solstice. And the significance of that, of course, is that the house was positioned so that when you're looking through the front door, through the Great Hall, back to the West Terrace through the back door, you're able to actually see the perfect view of the summer solstice. So, and that's why our gala happens around that time as well. Also, we have a bowling lawn because the Cyberlings actually did have a bowling lawn on the estate. And we have a bubble machine that's circular, and it's made out of organ pipes. So if you've been in the house and you've seen the Aeolian organ, you'll recognize those pipes. And of course, when the kids run past them, organ music does play, and it's really pretty beautiful. So, and then we have Joe's Dig. They had a St. Bernard, the family did, and so we have a dog house, and when the kids walk through, they can hear the barking, and on the other side of it is a sand pit, and we bury toys that are related to the season as well. And then we have an old 1929 Model A truck, and so they're able to get in there and turn the wheel and spin the tires and play the radio and really get that experience. But what's also new this season are the Explorer backpacks. So you're able to check those out at Play Garden, and they have little spyglass in them, or magnifying glass, I should say, and bug collectors and identification pieces and so forth. So these are especially designed for toddlers, and so the parents come and they check out the bags for the afternoon, and they explore the entire estate, starting in the Play Garden. And then, of course, down in the lower right corner, we have At Home with Nature. So those are our giant animal habitats that the kids simply love. And then, of course, the lower center is an example of a cache from the geocaching. So lots of family fun and activities happening throughout the estate. And also, we published 2 new books this season. I was sharing earlier, how many of you know that Stan Hewitt was the site of the founding of Alcoholics Anonymous? It was in the Gate Lodge in 1935 on Mother's Day. We'll actually be celebrating Founders Day this weekend. If you want just a really serene opportunity to come and enjoy the estate, this weekend would be a good time to do that. It's almost also like a pilgrimage for people from around the world who have really benefited from Alcoholics Anonymous. But anyway, we've often been asked for stories about that occasion, and also just more stories about the Cyberling family. So these are the first 2 books in a series of 10 that we'll be producing in the coming years. They're both written by our curator, Julie Fry. She's actually going to be signing the books this weekend. So we're excited because they're kind of micro stories of the family, and tells you a little more detail that I told you we've been able to discover this season. We also have our Midsummer Night's Gala coming up on June the 24th. This season, it's titled Gracious Gathering, so it's going to be reminiscent. This is from a couple of years ago, but it's going to be reminiscent of a really special family occasion, as though Gertrude was planning it, and then it was being held in the dining room. So you'll have lace curtains and silver candelabra, and the florals look like they've just been picked from the garden, and the meal is very reminiscent of that occasion as well. This is our signature fundraiser. It generates about $260,000 net for us every season, so it's an important event to us. And we have, that was fun, Founders Day, which I just mentioned. Our Father's Day car show is coming up on June the 19th. We have more than 450 cars registered. And Phil, are you in that this season?
Yeah, the Cadillac is going to be in Inner Circle.
Okay.
The Inner Circle.
Awesome.
And the Buick will be there also.
That's great.
It's a great show for those.
Thank you so much, and we've always appreciated your support and your participation in that. So it's a really pretty awesome show. It's a great day for us. We've had upwards of 8,000 guests there on a single day, and then the special feature, because we always try to introduce something new and different. So the family of cars that will be introduced this year are micro cars, which are really kind of cute and interesting. So we'll see what those are all about. And then Ohio Mart, of course, is the first weekend in October. That's our artisan craft show, and we have 120 exhibitors who are participating in that, and great food and music and entertainment and so forth. So it's a wonderful way to spend a fall day at Stan Hewitt as well. Who's been to Deck the Hall? We are so excited. This show has been building, this event, I think, has been building and building over the last few years. When we first came in about 6 years ago, we were getting 11,000 guests per season. Last year, we had 37,000. And again, we try to make things different and fresh and new. So if you've been there before, you're still going to see something new when you come this time. And it's grown to such a point where we were named a top 100 event in 2016 by the American Bus Association. So that's huge for us too. We're talking about buses coming from potentially all over the country into Akron and to visit Stan Hewitt and to attend Deck the Hall. So we have 800,000 lights on the property every season. We've got Santa, warming cookies. We decorate the manor house. The lower left picture is of the play garden, which turns into, oh my God, the gingerbread land. Forgive me, I just kind of blanked out there for a second. So it has about 75,000 lights in gingerbread land alone. So it's a really good draw for the kids and a really wonderful event for us overall. So in fact, we were noting that we had as many visitors to Deck the Hall as we had taking tours through the whole season last year. So it's a pretty important accomplishment for us. We also concluded a $6 million restoration campaign last year, and that restoration work is underway now. And if you ever pass Stan Hewitt and you've been looking at our perimeter stone wall for many years and seeing it kind of crumbling, well, we've got a brand new wall now, which we're really excited about. $1.3 million worth of new wall. There's one portion that's being completed just above Garmin Road because our wall sits on top of a retaining wall. So that's going to be done in the next month, I think it is, and then it'll be done. But also we're restoring our leaded and stained glass windows. We restored the elk, every room. We've chosen 16 rooms in the manor house, so these are some examples of what's being restored within the manor house. In addition to that, it's the stained and leaded glass windows, the perimeter wall, our tea houses, and then we also raised money for our endowment. So the lampshade down there was just restored. And then I love the before and after pictures, except I reversed them. The picture on the far right is what that sofa looked like last year, and the picture to the left of it is how it looks now. And I should tell you, we do everything authentically. So we've been able to go back to the original fabric houses and have the fabrics replicated. We have had, all the meticulous detailing replicated if it couldn't just specifically be restored. Let's see, I think we have another, talk about the Pewabic Tile Fountain in the far right corner is being cleaned by the Pewabic Tile Company out of Michigan. They're the ones who built the fountain in the first place. And we're really looking forward to having it run again. So that's something we're working on right now as well. So over the next 5 years, as you come to the estate, you're going to see the changes that are occurring. The eagle was restored, all of our taxidermy actually in the Great Hall. The breakfast room fountain on the lower left was something that had been broken twice before, and we had never seen it until it was returned about 6 weeks ago. Fully restored, thanks to a gift from the Lehner Family Foundation. The carpeting down the stairs, if you had been in San Hewitt, you've never seen carpeting that looked like that because we always had a service carpet on. We were trying to preserve the original, and thankfully we did. We were able to go back and recreate something very similar because we had swatches of what existed originally. And that's one of the amazing things that the folks who saved Stan Hewitt did, is that when they took things down to replace them because they weren't usable anymore, they saved samples. So that's why we're able to do this authentic restoration, because we can go back and look at pictures, match them up to samples. They were all documented. And so when you look at anything that's been restored, it is, again, going back to the original look, feel. In fact, fabric companies, in some cases, we're able to do that. That's the wall that was in progress some months ago in the lower right of the tea houses. And they're built of sandstone above the stone quarry. And the sandstone was beginning to turn back to sand. So we have an on-site architect who worked with geologists from Kent State University and the University of Akron. And so they've done some analysis, and they have now a plan to shore it up. So that's part of the restoration process as well, which we're very excited about. And then another vision of the wall as it's completed. So, and I think that could be. Oh, and then of course I have to remind you to come to Molly's. You know, if you haven't been to our boutique, I have to tell you it's a really special museum store. We try to get in things that are one of a kind, and so our buyers have gone in and selected more apparel and things that, again, are tying to the season theme. And then the courtyard, I put in there because I think it's really important for you to know that you can come and visit Stan Hewitt anytime just to dine and shop without paying an entrance fee, an admissions fee. And it's really a glorious place, especially on a beautiful sunny day. Sit and listen to the music, grab a bite to eat from Molly's, and just land in the courtyard and enjoy the experience. So we hope you all will choose to do that this season. I did put some brochures on your places in case you want to consider joining. It's really such great value because you have access to Stan Hewitt every day that we're open of the season for free. Self-guided tours. You can come anytime, except on event days, but then you get discounts for the events. So, and then a discount in Molly's store. So just something to think about if you haven't already. If you have little ones in your family, be sure that you bring them to Stan Hewitt and have them enjoy the experience through family. The family experience. So thank you all for your time. Are there any questions, anything specific you might like to ask about that I didn't cover? Yes.
Do you have an endowment at the...
Yes, we do. Thank you for asking. And I will tell you that endowment was not something that was left by the Cyberlings. It actually was created when they saved the estate as a museum back in 1957. And it stands right now with the changes in the market at about $24 million. And so we do get a rolling average, a 5% rolling average from that endowment every year to fund operations. And the campaign that we just completed also included $2 million in fundraising for the endowment to shore it up. So, yeah, thank you for asking that question. Any others? Do you also know that we have 500 volunteers? And any one of you who might like to do that, we invite you to consider it. You can volunteer all over the estate, do all kinds of things. So, yes.
Hi, I've been to the butterfly
Yes.
with my grandkids. They loved it.
Great. Thank you for saying that.
Is the splash area, is it where the bathing?
Yes, where the water comes up from the center. Yes, the splash fountain.
Yeah.
Right next door in the play garden.
And they can play in it.
Yes, yes. The water features are all operating now. We didn't turn them on until it got a little bit warmer, but they're up and running now. So yes, by all means, bring them. Bring a towel and a swimsuit. Any other questions? Well, I so appreciate your time today. Thank you, and hope you'll come see us.
Thank you, Gail. Just another example of what a great area this is to live in, a real gem, a real asset to have in our community, Stan Hewitt Hall. So next week, we continue with our theme for summer fun things. Our speaker will be Patrick Ertl from the Great Lakes Science Center up in Cleveland. So there is a board meeting, club board meeting, following our meeting today. It's going to be in the Greenwood private dining room, and all Rotarians are welcome to attend. Want to thank our greeters today, Evan McCauley and Phil. Were you out there, Phil? Yeah. Were you a greeter today?
I wasn't a greeter, but I was there.
You'll show up next week. Okay. And our audio visual and setup crew. You know, I can't tell you how rewarding it is to come in here at 20:07 or 6:45, find our setup people here. They're busting their butt setting up. So it's good to have that crew, Tom Page and James and then Rich when he's here, and Ron Barnhouse and Tom Tobin sometime. So our drawing for the Rotabook today, $12 for today, not very much, but a jackpot is moving up there, $392. I will let Gail draw the winning ticket. Okay, Gail Marie drew the right ticket, the correct ticket. It's not mine. 1970. 1970. And it's Bill Wooldridge today. There you are. Okay, I trust you. Yep. There's a black marble in there. Yep. There you go. That's not it. That's not it. There's your $12. Okay. Thanks, guys and ladies.